It's that time of year again. I would say welcome back to the unfortunate weekly series now of AI news, but this one's outright stretching for a year now, as it is time for our annual tradition, I guess, of AI-generated Coca Cola ads. God, I hate that. It turns out last year wasn't just a gimmick. Coke are now leading the way for generative AI's infiltration of the advertising sector now. And this time they're doing it with animals and a big ol' Santa as well. Come on, Pepsi, this is your chance. You need to counter-program this with a stop-motion ad that shows all the shots of the humans moving the characters. Sounds like an easy win to me on the marketing. That would really get people talking. But what has certainly got people talking about this new commercial is that it released alongside a behind-the-scenes featurette trying to convince you that this isn't evil. Last year, we got their first attempt at doing this exact thing, featuring a series of people dead behind the eyes and barely moving beyond any basic motion. This was the world's first Gen AI created film to be shown on broadcast media. Back then, the advert received significant backlash for not only being terrifying visually, but also in the whole concept of human replacement. And we actually made a video on it back a year ago. So if you want to see our very earliest thoughts on generated AI, it's over there. But the whole thing just seemed so cold, and people could really feel it. It's the wrong side of the winter feeling. Certainly an interesting avenue to go down when you are going for a warm-hearted Christmas advert. It was, on multiple fronts, a disaster. But it was also a sign of what's to come. As in a world of no publicity is bad, it did see Coca Cola effectively disrupt the marketing sector. Which is why they've done it again. And my god, how a year in the AI world makes a difference. Last year, whilst real looking, you could tell something was wrong. This year, the fact that it's way more advanced makes it even creepier. It's genuinely like a litmus test of how far AI animation has come. Yet the goofs are still present, and I think there's a reason they generally avoided humans this time around. I hate that it's actually reflecting the early days of Pixar like that. And this Coca-Cola ad comes to use from Real Magic AI. Two words that are ironically not present within this commercial whatsoever. The ad opens with the familiar foam-looking AI hand opening a Coke bottle, complete with strange physics when it comes to the cloud coming out of the bottle. They're just kind of swirling weirdly. Over to the model truck where the AI becomes even more apparent. Everything smooth-edged with only so much actually in focus. We then go to a shot of the full-size truck, which looks a lot better than the opening shot at least. But I mean, there's so many damn ads with this truck at this point, it was probably the easiest thing to get right, if anything. The easiest to scrape for references. It's just a cuboid. It's almost like you didn't need to AI recreate it, but well, whatever. We then have a blend of different AI stylistic takes on animals, because there's no real artistic consistency when there's no actual artist behind what you're doing. Starting with these realistic looking polar bears. Like the humans in last year's ad, their motion is notably limited, as that's still all they can really handle. It might be Real Magic AI, but somehow it's kind of behind Sora 2 AI. That being said, I do think the shift away from humans is deliberate in an attempt to be like, hey, we're not replacing human actors, and maybe to ward off a little bit of the uncanniness and make the AI look more deceivable to their hopefully dumb audience. Polar bears slightly raise their heads, job done. The penguins are definitely the most convincing, even showing some more extreme motion in jumping, although this truck got from the polar bears in the Arctic to the penguins in the Antarctic pretty quickly. But maybe that's a problem with all Coke adverts, I don't know. We'll also be shuffling footage of real human adverts so you can see some actual artistic ability, see how far we've come and fallen from grace. Do I need to get to the point where I'm marking which is human and which is AI? I hope not. I hope you can just tell. Anyway, back to the AI penguins. The shot's only a few seconds long, further feeding into the AI-ness of it all. And then there's the hedgehogs, who evidently decided to skip hibernation for this winter. Man, nothing makes sense in this. Where for some reason, they suddenly switch from realistic animals to these more cutesy-looking character designs. Why do we allow AI slop to be so sloppy? Is there not even a director who's like, you know, trying to find some consistent through line? These especially feel a lot more like what would come up if anyone asked for an AI-generated hedgehog. It's just one of the most generic AI shots here, if you ask me. And then there's this. in the behind-the-scenes featurette that they put out, they called this style hyperrealism, referring to what they intended for every animal in this ad. And I'm not so sure they succeeded, because as we go through the other animals in this ad, they also seem to be just constantly changing styles from where I'm standing. And following the vibes of the other animals, we then naturally go to a panda! I thought it may have been a raccoon at first. But no, a panda shows up now. Oh, okay. Watching the ad back, they seem to be going for an international vibe through animals, with the same art style as the hedgehogs, so we've now just outright switched the whole look of the entire ad. Alright. It smiles at the truck because commerce. Animals are famous for doing that. We then have a more generic shot of trees lighting up in gold spirals. There's no character on screen for this one, so it unfortunately just looks like a normal CGI sequence you'd see in any Christmas ad. But not to worry, we then cut to a sloth. Meet AI sloth, everybody. Kinda half and half on the realism scale. Because it's AI, there's something that looks slightly painted about the overall look, the more realistic they try to make it. Over to the wider shots of birds flying over the truck so you can get away with less detail. And my goodness, we get 2 shots of the seals, and they're longer than a few seconds. Wow! The budget's going crazy in this AI ad. And it's back to the cutesy look for those guys. Oh, lucky us. Those shots look pretty good, I hate to say it. Then more shots of the trucks, this time boasting their rolling wheels after getting hounded last year for the fact that they looked like they were sliding before. Again, how did they let such low quality slop through on broadcast media? But there's still that inherent smoothness to the trucks that makes them look weird in this. Anyway, rabbits. Hello there, thank you for making it to the halfway mark of this video. Come subscribe if you haven't already for more AI animation news. Seems like this is becoming a weekly Monday thing. So let's get back to the second half of AI Coke Christmas. Anyway, rabbits. Just a whole legion of them looking at a big billboard featuring the iconic Coca Cola Santa winking at them. They like that, so they run towards it. I guess this is a metaphor for Coke's audience being gullible rabbits. And then perhaps the most AI looking of the bunch, more so than the hedgehogs, is the puppies in the window. The blurred fur, the even blurrier background, it's exactly the kind of slush we're looking for. And for the first time in a while, they've gone back to the realistic look again. They really refused to pick a lane, didn't they, on the style for these animals? Because we then have these squirrels and they don't have that real animal look at all. Only for them to appear on a roof in the next shot where they do look realistic. I can't keep up with these creative choices, presumably because a human didn't make them. It's also the squirrels that take us out as we zoom from one in the Christmas tree to the big old Coca Cola logo, which has the audacity to have the AI company's name, Real Magic, at the bottom. You can't say it looks entirely good, but also, it's not bad this year, which I hate. As AI becomes less of its hilarious, uncanny self, it just becomes harder and harder to actively laugh at. And it's interesting to see what parts have advanced and what still looks off-color a year later. Weirdly, I think the opening shots of the ads are the worst bit. Surely that's terrible marketing. That's the bit that looked like the result of anyone typing in "Make a Coca Cola Christmas ad," you know? Beyond that, not bad visually, but also not good, because again, AI clearly hasn't worked out the concept of art styles yet and keeping those consistent, even with a custom-made Real Magic AI. It is getting there though, and that's worrying. It very much seems like Coca-Cola are serious about being the front runners in AI marketing, to the extent they actually got a designated head of generative AI at the corporation, that being Pratik Thakar. Speaking about the AI commercial, he said, "Last year we set a global milestone with the world's first entirely Gen AI created film on broadcast media. A bold leap that broke new ground," by breaking a record number of artists' existential worth, presumably. He went on to say, "This year's campaign is another proof point in our journey of emerging technology to rethink how we create and scale content." Ah yes, everyone's favorite word, especially in marketing and by the biggest companies in the world. Content. I mean, sure, content is what I'm doing here. At least mine's made by humans. And I'm very, very small scale compared to Coke. But in the content world now, You have to disrupt, and disrupt is what they've done. But has it been worth it? By using their iconic Christmas ad as the disruptor, they very much removed the heart from something a lot of people once had a lot of nostalgia for. Like, in my opinion, this really rubs off how this is a massive, evil corporation. Nonetheless, you can't ignore that this ad with the iconic truck was once a beloved staple of Christmas TV. The original jingle, also present in this ad, has been there since 1955. Yet now it feels cheapened by this fake-smelling smog of AI laced throughout the whole thing. It just seems like the perfect example of something classic being taken and rearranged into an AI database, as is the Wizard of Oz at the Sphere. The once authentic sense of festive warmth people associated with these ads are now squandered with an underlying sense of insincerity, which we can definitely spot in the UK, as many of our Christmas commercials focus in on telling wholesome stories, even teaming with charities on occasion. In the UK advertising market anyway, cutting corners in your advertising will stand out. Now, this also came with a bizarre behind-the-scenes featurette on the Coca Cola YouTube channel, where they run through what steps they made since the previous one. Supposedly, you can see the editing process of refining the wobbliness of AI generation, with actual artists supposedly adding the finishing touches, which in the best case scenario means humans adjust the end bit now, but the worst case scenario is it's faked. There's Photoshop shots where there's a single layer in the UI, and a lot of the finishing touches, when you have the experience of animation and editing, just don't make any damn sense. Like, this is a fake behind the scenes trying to deceptively imply a hint of human creation. The very fact that it exists means that they know there's gonna be backlash and they're trying to respond, but they're not responding genuinely. They're just trying to say, you're wrong, let's lie even more. As if they're trying to break down what is even reality now. Yeah, I guess that's the real magic. I think the line in the featurette I find the most chilling was definitely, post-production is the new pre-production, which, whilst they didn't mean this, just makes it sound like the human contribution is solely the finishing touches at the end of the process. Of course, the thing they are constantly trying to reinforce in this featurette is the fact that artists were involved with working with the AI, to at least attempt to convince everyone that they won't be replaced, their spin being that AI is enabling creators, which is apparently what happens when you have a tool that actively does most of the creativity for you. But that's what they roll with. The final 30 seconds is a whole pro-AI piece about combining human creativity with AI being a good thing. I'm not convinced by that. Particularly not by a featurette that Coca Cola put out themselves. They may have taken the creepy AI humans out for now, but for me, that doesn't make the advances of technology in a year any less terrifying. One of the most successful, most profitable companies on the globe, and they resort to the lowest budget slop. It's emblematic of how they feel as a company, and you can bet all sorts more will be doing the same. Come on, Pepsi. I'm rooting on you to do something good and human, maybe. Maybe. It's kind of strange that our yearly metric of AI advancement may be the damn Coke commercials, but I guess that's just where we are. For now, though, I'd best finally end it off there. My name's been Daz. Thank you very much for reaching the end of this video. Do tell me your thoughts on all things AI, Christmas, and Coke. Or hey, check out our video from a year back to see how far they've come. It's interesting as much as it's so depressing. Soda pressing. I'd love to hear all of your thoughts and more, but otherwise, I shall see you all in a little bit. Cheerio!